Bang, Rountree Sports. We're back for UFC 307, Beta, Rountree Jr. It's going to be a good card here. We got Dan back with us here. Two-man booth. Just ignore my probably going to be sweating throughout this show. I'm just absolutely drenched in sweat, but didn't have time to get the shower and before the show. So I'm just gonna fight through it, Dan, and I'll live through it. But how you feeling on this Saturday morning, man? You feel good about this card?
I'm also sweating, but yeah, I feel awesome about this card. I'm really excited for it. I'm really excited to watch my Phillies crush the dreams of all the Mets fans out there. We got college football. Today's just jam-packed, man. I woke up fucking excited for today. So it's going to be a good day.
Yeah, tons of sports. I can't wait. This weekend's going to be awesome. It's a great sports weekend. You got the MMA card, obviously, college football. You got playoff baseball. We got it all at Rountree Sports too. RPS 15 is the promo code, 15% off your monthly or weekly payment. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't to the Rountree Sports YouTube channel, because we got these shows going all throughout the week. I think there's an NFL show later tonight around 9 Eastern for tomorrow's main slate. And then we got obviously the Wood show with me, Big T, and Wiley at 10 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow for the main slate as well. So make sure you guys check those shows out if you haven't. But we're here. We're going to talk fights. Dan, before we get into this 12-fight card, I just got to ask you one thing. Who do you got? Ocho Cinco or James Harrison?
I think it's got to be James Harrison, right? Like, there are weight classes for a reason, and but apparently not in that fight. I don't know much about it, but I feel like I got to take James Harrison.
Bro, you got to watch the 5-minute or 4-minute clip of Ocho Cinco and Shannon Sharp. And Shannon Sharp's just asking him. He's like, what are you doing, Ocho? And Ocho's just like, bro, you got to understand, like, I'm going to use my Muay Thai, and he's got nothing for me if he takes it to the ground, like all this type of stuff. And if he stands on the feet, I'm just going to pick him apart. You know, I've been doing this shit forever. Like, it's just the funniest thing ever. So, James Harrison, weekend, right? Oh God, like he's the ultimate dog though. The way he talks, I don't know if he actually is, but the way he talks, it's like the underdog David versus Goliath, type thing where he's like, don't count me out. I'm here. So I thought it was funny. I retweeted it. I was like, that's it. I'm on Ocho Cinco's side here. Screw it. I changed my mind. James Harrison's probably going to kill him. I would never want to go in an octagon with James Harrison. That dude, he looks just tapped.
I don't really want to go in the octagon against anyone, man. I mean, to lock yourself in a cage with another person for a fist fight, that's these people are insane. Much respect to anybody who puts
especially someone like James Harrison, who like, forget about his training regimen. Like, when that dude went on the field, he went on the field to like hurt people. Like, no fucking lie. Like, he went on the field. Ocho Cinco didn't go on the field to hurt people. He went on the field to run away from people, to run by people. There's a big difference between someone like Ocho Cinco and James Harrison. But I just thought it was funny. We still need JBC and Dan cage match. I got to think that Dan has this one just because I think JBC, like, if he gets in a cage with someone, he might just have a heart attack. That dude, he might just have a heart attack. So I think you got him, Dan. If we had to, I don't know the weight class difference. I don't know how much you weigh, but
we'll do it at catch weight. It's fine. I'm not gonna make him cut. It's all right.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. All right, let's get to this. Let's get to this 12-fight card here on the slate. Like I said, it's a great card. I think there's a lot of live dogs on this card. So I feel like we're going to be able to pick some dogs here, Dan. I don't think it's just going to be all chalk throughout the board, but I like just coming into this card, like from a DFS perspective, you got some guys that, priced highly. Alex Pereira, 9,600. I think Kayla Harrison's like, what is she, 9,800 or something like that? Like, she is expensive too. Just from a DFS perspective, what's your plan with those type of price tags on those? I mean, really good DFS plays, obviously, but like those fighters at those prices.
Yeah, so it's a little tougher to pay up for Pereira just because he doesn't really offer much in the way of grappling or wrestling, so you're not really going to get any of that. And he's kind of lower volume. He's very patient. He's a sniper, so For Pereira, you're going to need like a quick win bonus for him to pay off, most likely. Whereas Harrison, even though she's 200 more, I like her chances of hitting the optimal more just because her whole game is predicated on getting you to the mat, grappling the shit out of you, raining hell down on you while she's on top of you. I just think her style is like much more conducive to scoring well on DraftKings. So I'm always pretty light on Pereira when it comes to DFS, just because, you know, you need a really early knockout, and usually he's not this expensive. So I'm a little hesitant to go super heavy on Pereira. I think DFS, I might even like the Roundtree side is really interesting to me. I mean, we'll talk about it more in depth when we get there, but you know, I think this line is kind of wide for a fight that should mostly play out on the feet. You know, striking exchanges are extremely variant. Roundtree's best chance to win is by knockout. And I think Roundtree's knockout number it's at 475. Like, I think you gotta at least put a little sprinkle on that.
Yeah. Pereira, 8,500, 8,300, 8,400, 8K. Those are his last four price tags on DraftKings. So to jump to 9,600, now I know, you know, he's dropped 110, 107 his last, you know, two fights, obviously. But, you know, he got 2 knockdowns against Yuri. I don't know. I just felt like the Yuri fight, is he going to get 2 knockdowns again?
He was lucky to score that much in that fight, for sure.
Yeah. And then the Jamal Hill fight, like he was going to win, but like there was a little thing with they stopped the fight, and then he was like, I'm good. And then he just started again. And I don't know if that fight ends that quickly without something like that, but yeah, he won. And he did score, but I'm kind of with you. I'm from a DFS side. I think I'm going to fade Pereira. I think I'm going to be more on the Kayla Harrison side with you and be lower on the Pereira side. But all right, let's start, you know, for the first fight, and then we'll work our way to the main card here and get the main event. Court McGee and Tim Means, first fight on the card here. Tim Means is a minus 192 favorite over on DraftKings Sportsbook. He is also 9K on DraftKings, where Court McGee is 7,200 plus 160 dog here. Dan, I mean, what are you seeing with this fight? I feel like this fight's going to play out mostly on the feet. You know, 9K price tag for Tim Means. I feel like that's the highest I've seen Tim Means in a while. What are you doing with that price tag?
It is, you know, that does seem expensive for Tim Means, but the thing is like Court McGee, you know, I'm a fan of his, like personally, you know, he's like died multiple times, he's recovering drug addict. Like there's a lot to like about Court McGee and his story. You know, he's a dog. He will like relentlessly pursue the takedown, but you know, his chin is gone, and the guy couldn't finish a sandwich. Like he hasn't finished anybody since I believe like 2010. So the biggest knock on Means for me as a fighter is like his chin also seems to be fading. These guys are both, you know, Means is 40, McGee is 39. So these are both like old vets, both crafty, you know, like they know what they're doing in there. But I think somebody's getting finished here. And I think, you know, more often than not, it's going to be McGee who's going to be the one getting finished, just because McGee is not a finisher. That's never really been part of his game, and I don't see it happening today. I mean, having said that, again, like as previously mentioned earlier in the show, ton of variance in striking exchanges. These guys both, you know, they throw decent volume. They're both pretty hittable. So again, you know, it's a fight. Anything can happen, but I'm definitely heavier. I'm going to lean heavier into the Means side.
Fight to not go to the distance right now on DraftKings. If you hit no, that's plus 120. I kind of like that bet. I think that's a pretty good bet. I think someone's probably going to sleep in this fight. So I like that bet there, plus 120. You know, you just take the shot that, because I think this line is the way that I think both guys have obviously a puncher's chance. I like Tim Means kind of like you a little bit more than Court McGee, but I mean, Court McGee still has it. He's got a shot. Like he'll have a puncher's chance just the way he fights against someone like Tim Means. So Yeah, I think as opposed to picking a side, I kind of like just taking fight not to go to the distance at plus 120. You get the plus odds,
I like
and
that.
you can just root for a you can root for a bloodbath. You can root for hospital, 110, 120 type deal from someone. So
One thing I will say about Court McGee is he does have some submission wins, and the one other knock on Tim Means is when the fight gets to the mat, he is somewhat vulnerable on the mat. So I don't think a McGee submission is out of the question at all. But still in all, I think I'm going to be a little heavier on the Means side, and the price tag, like we said before, there are lots of live dogs on this card. I don't think 9K is a super restrictive price to have to pay. I think you can get there, fairly easily. So yeah, I definitely lean to the Mean side, but again, anything can happen when you get these, especially when you get the old guys in there.
Like Dan, Court McGee inside the distance is plus 550. Tim Means is plus 215. Like I feel like it should be closer on DraftKings.
I have
This is on DraftKings. I'm looking right now.
I've got Tim Means plus 220 inside the distance and Court McGee plus 425 is what
I'm looking on DraftKings right now. Court McGee by KO, TKO, or submission plus 550.
Really, those numbers shouldn't be. Sorry, say that again. Maybe I misheard you the first time.
Court McGee is plus 550 by KO or submission on DraftKings on DK Sportsbook right now. I'm looking at it, and Tim Means is plus 215, which is what I'm saying is I feel like those should be a little closer. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's just McGee. He hasn't finished anybody in 15.
But it's the opponent.
It's 15 years. Right? Sorry,
it's the opponent though, right? Tim Means his chin's not there either. You said he's vulnerable on the mat. I don't know. I'll probably still just bet the fight not to go the distance, but plus 550. I don't hate the shot there for old Court McGee. But all right, let's keep going here. I think from a DFS side, you can play both sides of this fight and just root on it. I don't think you should. I don't think this is one of those fights where you need to take a stand one way or another. I think there will be fights where you should take stands and play one fighter over the other, but I don't think this fight on this card where we have so many dogs that I think maybe should be favorites in their own right. I don't see this as one of them. So I think you can just play both sides here. Let's go to the next fight here. Carla Esparza against Tisha Pennington. This line, Pennington, I think it opened Esparza a favorite and then it flipped. And now Pennington, it's gotten a little wider. Minus 175 on DraftKings right now. Pennington sits as a favorite. She's coming off, I think it was a split decision loss over Hebas or Ricci. I can't remember. Was it Ricci? Was it Tabitha Ricci she just fought?
It was Ricci. And I was bullshit over that because I was heavy on Pennington. I thought she won.
I was bullshit on it too because I was heavy on Pennington and she won that fight. Yeah, the only reason why she lost that fight was because she got controlled against the cage because Ricci was just stronger than her. And you got to remember, she was coming off of, not fighting for a little while. Didn't she have a kid? I think was the reason. And I think she was still fast, Dan. Her striking still looked smooth. Her takedown defense held up. But in the clinch positions, Ricci could just control her whenever she wanted to. And I was bullshit because I was like, this girl picked her apart, but then lost because of stupid ass control time. Because there's no other reason to give Ricci that fight. And I still thought she shouldn't have won that fight, but she did. And now she gets the flip. Esparza hasn't fought in a few years. And I think that might be due to, is it a kid? What did she have a kid?
I don't know. I don't think so.
But either way, she's been gone for like 2 years, I think.
Yeah, last time she fought was Zhang Weili 2022.
She got her ass beat.
She did.
She did.
I mean, it's Zhang Weili, so maybe you give her a little bit of a pass there. But
I'll give her a pass. I got the Pennington side, though. I think that she showed good takedown defense. You're going to need good takedown defense against Esparza. On the feet, I think it's clear it's Pennington on the feet. Like, no doubt in my mind on the feet, it's Pennington. If her takedown defense holds up, which I think it can, and another camp in, another fight in from the baby. She's going to be stronger, I think. So I don't think she's going to get held up in those clinch positions as easily as she was last time out. And I see her winning a, probably 29-28 decision here. I don't think anyone gets a finish. I don't think it's an amazing DFS fight, honestly. But I do think Pennington wins and puts up, a modest score here. So not the best DFS fight for me, Dan. What about you?
So this is a little narrative-y, but like the other thing about Pennington to like is she's married to Raquel Pennington, who this has been a championship camp. So Rocky has been training for a title fight. Tisha presumably is also training with her. So she's a part of that camp. That's always something to like. Something to dislike about Esparza, she announced this is going to be her retirement fight. And you never like backing somebody who says that they're going to retire beforehand. It's like you've got one foot out the door. Are you mentally, all there? It's just not something I ever want to back. The thing is, I think Pennington is actually a pretty decent DFS target just for the fact that she does throw volume. And like we've talked about with women's MMA before, a lot more of their strikes get counted as significant. And I mean, her in general, she does kind of like the Alexa Grasso thing where she will throw a ton of little strikes at you that aren't going to do much, but they are going to score points DFS wise. So I think at 8,700, she could make value if she just like pours on the volume. The Esparza side, 7,500 is quite cheap for somebody who wrestles as much as she does. So if she is going to win, it's going to be through the wrestling. Like she wants to take the fight to the mat. She is relentless with the takedowns. She will not stop shooting them. And, Pennington, while she doesn't have the best takedown defense, she does have really good get up and scrambles. Like she is not one to get taken down and kind of stay in guard and try to sub it. Like, no, like Tisha is trying to get back to her feet. She's trying to get the fight back to the feet. So, could I see a fight where Esparza is, taking Tisha down? She's getting right back up. She's taking her back down again. Absolutely. So I do have some mild interest in this fight. I do think Pennington ultimately wins. And, she doesn't rate out well from a finishing standpoint at all. But I'm willing to take some shots on her because she's coming in at 14%, which, I don't mind coming in a little bit more than that just because I think, the volume, like a lot of these women have sneaky volume is really what it comes down to. And also, we've talked about it before in fights where one side doesn't necessarily look to wrestle or grapple offensively, but their opponent, that's what they're looking to do. And they're forcing wrestling and grappling exchanges. And again, like women's MMA, like these exchanges get very like hectic and sloppy. So you can get Pennington, getting takedowns of her own just when they clinch up. Maybe she falls on top of her. Maybe she's getting reversals or sweeps because her scrambles are like pretty good. So I think like low key, I think that this is a bit more interesting of a fight than it is on its face.
Yeah, I mean, I think I definitely think it's an interesting fight. I just don't know if it's going to, like, if Esparza wins, I think it could score well because I think that means she's getting the takedown, the pressure. It's getting to Pennington. I think if Pennington wins, she could spend a round literally of time stuffing takedowns, which means that's a 5 minutes of time she's not throwing strikes, literally. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just them in the clinch, like or her stuffing and getting out, and then, like you said, Esparza is relentless. So, we'll see how that scores, but I could get over 14%. Like that's not that high. So I don't hate being,
the finishing numbers are pretty bad, but if you look at the card overall, like, there actually aren't that many like potent finishers on the card. A lot of these
there's
fights,
a lot of decision fights on this card.
Yeah, a lot of these fights are, projected to go to decision. So, usually we lean really heavily into inside the distance, but I think on this card, you can kind of back off that a little more, maybe look more at like wrestling, a little more at volume, stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how many, but I think I have a good chunk of these fights going to decision. I'll probably like
I have more than half.
Probably like 7 or probably like 7, I guess. Now more that I look at it, but it's still, I'm probably on the wrong side of that. There's probably more like 8 fights that go to the decision or something like that.
But. Yeah. Also, I don't know if we've talked about this on the show necessarily, but like, how do you feel about the new gloves? Because at first I was like, it seems a little.
I didn't buy it at first.
Yeah, I didn't buy it at first either, but now as time goes on, I'm
starting to buy into it a little bit.
Yeah,
like I'm really starting to buy into it a little bit. So, yeah, I don't know. They should switch the gloves. I agree with you. They should.
I would take much more eye pokes because I want to see some fucking knockouts, man.
Yeah, that's why they did it. That's why they switched the gloves though in the first place, right? Was because it's kind of harder to like extend out or whatever.
And I mean, there have been far fewer eye pokes. So,
which I will say, those are very tilting when you get a guy who gets poked in the eye and then everyone's like, oh, what a puss. He's quitting. But like, he can't see out of his fucking eye. And it's like,
you ever been poked in the eye?
Yeah, it fucking hurts. And on top of it, when you get poked in the eye, it doesn't just go away.
No.
Right? Like your eyes like tearing constantly. You're blinking it constantly. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you ever been poked in the eye, it annoys you for more than 5 minutes that they give you to recover. So
and most fighters will not take the 5 minutes.
Oh no, yeah, they
almost never. You never see anybody take the full 5. They'll sit there for like a minute, maybe 2, and then it's right back to it.
Yep. So yeah, I agree with you. Let's switch back to the old gloves. For sure. I'm with you. All right, let's go to the next fight here. We got Ryan Spann versus Ovince St. Preux. OSP plus 195 dog. Ryan Spann is a minus 238 favorite. Dan, we have to deal with Ryan Spann as another minus 238 favorite on this card here. I'm sick of this dude. I hate this guy. I don't want to deal with him on this card. I'm going OSP here in this fucking fight because I think he's got the power advantage. I literally, if this got to the ground, he's got grappling too. I know we haven't like seen it in a while, but he's got grappling. Like I'm going to take the shot on the dog here. He's plus 195. I think this is a fight that, for DFS you could get over on, but I'm going to be a little more on the dog here. We need some dogs. We need some cheap fighters on this card. I think OSP is not a bad shot to maybe get it done inside the distance here.
Yeah, I think this fight is a hospital 130 fight. Both of these guys, I mean, OSP old, chin is going. His last time out, shocking result. Like it's one of the few cards that I actually wasn't home watching, and I was just kind of like checking the results as I was out, and I saw OSP won, and I was like, "What the fuck happened in this fight?" Truly bewildering result. I'm on Spann here. He's very.
His KO number is minus 115 on DraftKings.
Yeah, like his inside the distance props, his knockout props are excellent. They're what you want to see for a play in DFS. I think, this is a priority fight, both sides. I'm going to lean heavier into the Spann side because I do think he ultimately wins. But, because, Spann, he comes out very aggressive. He comes out to knock your fucking head off, like right from the get. The problem is if he doesn't get you in the first round, his cardio just falls off of a cliff. And his opponent, he's got 1 round of cardio and that's it. So if OSP can survive, I think he can win the fight. I just think this ends really early. So priority fight.
So you like the under in this fight too? I don't mind the under. Under's minus 125 right now.
Yeah.
It's 1.5, obviously.
Yeah. I like the under. Yeah. I like Spann. Yeah. Hospital 130 fight right here.
I like it. Get over on it for DFS.
I don't think this is another fight in the way of this one.
Yeah. I'm with you. Here. Like, the gloves aren't getting away. Someone's going out or getting finished, I will say, because someone could get submitted here. But good fight to target. This next fight, though, this is interesting. Cesar Almeida minus 380, and I think it's honestly warranted, the minus 380, because they gave him a guy who also wants to stand and bang with them. And he's probably got 3 to 5 minutes of cardio on top of it. He's not a wrestler, right? He's not going to, well, he could try and take him down, but he's not going to be able to do that for very long. And Dan, I wouldn't be shocked if Potieri came in with a takedown game plan and gassed himself out after 3 minutes, just trying to take this dude down, because Almeida on the feet is just a different level. He's a beast. You know, last time out, Almeida, he was so good and so tough. He was making what's this guy do? A Kopylov shoot just constantly. Like that. That should tell you everything you need. When your stand-up game is forcing Roman Kopylov to become a wrestler for a whole fight, you're a badass, bro. You're a badass. Now, he can't stuff takedowns to save his damn life. Like, his takedown defense is absolutely putrid. But
great.
The UFC gave him a gift. They said they gave him one fight. He was a dog in that fight. Everyone was on Budka, I think it was. And I remember or they were like closely lined, maybe not everyone was on.
I was on Almeida. I just want
we were on Almeida. We were on Almeida. He wins. Okay, so the UFC is like, all right, you're good. We'll give you Roman Kopylov. And then he showed that he was good, but he just couldn't stuff takedowns. If he could have stuffed the takedown, he would have won that fight. Like 100%, he would have won that fight, but he just couldn't do it. And my boy Roman got it done. So the UFC said, okay, we're going to pull you back a little bit. We're going to give you another gift here. We're going to give you a guy that doesn't have a gas tank, that doesn't really shoot. And if he does shoot, he's not going to be able to do that for long. And then in the second round, you're going to piece this dude up and finish him. I'm calling second round knockout here. Cesar Almeida gets it done inside the distance early in the second round too, like the first minute.
Yeah, definitely on the Almeida side. Potieri is just not good. The one thing he has is he's got bombs for hands. Like, he definitely has power. He can definitely knock someone out. But I think Almeida's striking is just on a different level. Potieri, this fight is more than likely going to play out entirely on the feet. And I even thought like in Almeida's fight with Kopylov, like his takedown defense is obviously not very good, but he still held Kopylov to like 5 of 9, and he outstruck him over 3 rounds. So, it's not like Kopylov like beat the brakes off of him or anything. He wrestled the shit out of him, but Almeida didn't make the worst account of himself. I just think, like you said, this is a gift from the UFC to Almeida. Almeida, as most people probably know, has fought and beaten Alex Pereira in a kickboxing match. He's taken one of the 3 matchups between them. So that's probably a part of the reason why he's on this card. And it's just, it's one of those things where this does feel like a setup fight. Like, his very obvious weakness is grappling and wrestling. So they're giving him a guy who's just going to stand there and trade with them. Having said that, I already mentioned Potieri. He's got some serious power in his hands. Striking exchanges, anything can fucking happen. So I actually like Potieri quite a bit as a dog who's going to be really low owned. I've got Almeida 32%, Potieri 15%. I am going to lean heavier on the Almeida side. But I think Potieri, puncher's chance. He's live. And at 6,800, if he scores a knockout, he's more than likely going to be optimal.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. He does have power, whether it be for 3 minutes or 5 minutes, but I agree with you. Puncher's chance. Dan, I got to fight back on this one topic here. He had 8 minutes and 39 seconds of control time against Cesar Almeida.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, come on. What do you mean? He made Roman Kopylov a wrestler. 8 minutes and 39 seconds of control time? That's a long-ass time to control someone when you're not a wrestler, when that's not your thing. That's insane. I can't give him a good account for that. I'm sorry. I just can't. If it was a wrestler, Dan, if it was 8 minutes and 39 seconds, he was 5 of 9 to a guy who wrestles, like wrestles, I'd be like, okay, he's fighting a wrestler. Like, that's what the dude does. But
I do believe I do believe Kopylov trained in Dagestan prior to that fight.
Yes,
And
but
it
he
wasn't
doesn't
wrestling
want to
heavy.
wrestle. He doesn't want to wrestle, and he wrestled for 3 rounds.
That was the game plan. He went out there and he executed. I mean,
Well,
all the Kopylov's credit.
he did. He did. That's for sure.
You know, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Why are you being so argumentative?
Yeah, that's true. Let's go to a fight that is the line is starting to just crash in Hubbard's favor here. We got Austin Hubbard, very slight dog on DraftKings. This line has moved. He was like, I think plus 150 at one point, maybe higher than that. I don't even know. This line has went. I saw it at plus 130 yesterday. It's minus 102 on DraftKings right now. And I just feel like the Hubbard side is starting to get hammered here, Dan, against Alexander Hernandez, a minus 118 favorite. This line is tightening. I was on the Hubbard side. I've been on the Hubbard side. I feel like it's the right side to be on. I've talked about it. This card has a lot of dogs that I feel like could or should be favorites. And like, I just didn't understand when he was plus 130 or plus 140. I already bet it when it was there. But I like Austin Hubbard here. I think Alexander Hernandez is the more talented fighter.
Mm-hmm.
I think, he's a little better than Austin Hubbard, but Hubbard's just a dog. He's just one of those guys that like he goes out there. He's not like amazing at anything, but he's just good enough in a lot of the areas to withstand. And I think what happens is Alexander Hernandez goes out like he's a favorite, like he is going to beat him in any area this fight goes. And he's going to make some mistakes throughout the fight. And Austin Hubbard's going to capitalize on mistakes because he does this all the time. And then he's going to end up losing probably a decision, probably a 29-28 decision here or a split decision. But I got the Hubbard side. Where are you at?
Yeah, I'm on Hubbard as well. It's like if you looked at these two guys side by side, it's like Alexander Hernandez is just like fucking yoked, sculpted. And then you've got Austin Hubbard, who just looks like a guy, and like you said, like Hernandez probably is, the more talented martial artist, but like Hubbard is the better fighter. Like you said, he's got that dog in him. I've been burned by Hernandez so many times because it seems like he should have all the tools. He's got, he should have the physicality. He's got the skills, but he's just a fucking quitter, dude. Like, I cannot put any substantial amount of money behind a guy like Alexander Hernandez that once he hits any kind of adversity in a fight, he just quits. He just does not want to fucking be there. And Hubbard is the polar opposite of that. Like, he's never been knocked out. His cardio is extremely solid. Like, if Hernandez isn't going to get him out of there, and I don't think he will, like, he's fucked once this gets into the later rounds. Like, Hubbard, I think just, there's really not much more to say. Hubbard just has that dog in him, and Hernandez very much does not. So,
it sucks, Dan, because like in these type of fights, I normally like to have the guy that's more dangerous, that's better, that's probably better everywhere or mostly everywhere. And that is Hernandez, I feel like.
Yeah.
But I just don't think it's the right side. Like, I think he makes too many mistakes, even when he's the better. I feel like he's the better fighter a lot of the time, and he loses. Is my problem with him. And so I'm like, I've seen this before. I've seen him make boneheaded mistakes, and Austin Hubbard's good enough to capitalize on mistakes that he could make. So, I'm with you. I'm on the Hubbard side, even though like I think Hernandez has fought the better competition. I can't explain it more than like Hubbard is a dog, and I just feel like he's going to withstand whatever Hernandez throws at him early and then win it in the later rounds. So,
yeah. And I mean, a lot of these losses that Hernandez has haven't exactly aged well. You've got like Billy Q, who's been on a slide. You've got, he beats Jim Miller, who's old as fuck. I mean, we love Jim Miller, but like, come on.
Again, though,
Bill Algeo.
In the Bill Algeo, the Billy Quarantillo, like, you can't tell me that those guys were just way better than him, though. This is my point. Like,
they outdogged him.
I feel like Hernandez might have been skill-wise better, but just for whatever reason, and this is my point.
He's a martial artist, but he's not a better fighter. These guys just had, like, whatever it is, and again, like I'm not volunteering to fucking jump in a cage and
Yeah,
fight anybody.
yeah.
So,
Alexander Hernandez, you whoop our ass, but
yeah, he's credit where it's due. He's getting in there, he's fighting, but I just cannot get behind a guy who seemingly quits at the first sign of resistance just about every time out. I just don't trust him at all.
Yep, there we go. No trust. I'll be probably higher on the Hubbard side for DFS. I'm assuming you're the same way. All right, let's go to the next fight here. We've got Ismando Lucinda. Lucinda is a minus 180 favorite right now on DraftKings. Marina Rodriguez plus 150. I think this line came down a little bit, maybe, but I could be wrong. It's around here, though. I feel like Rodriguez was like plus 165 yesterday. But either way, Dan, I'll start with this one because this is one of the fights that, and I could be totally off here. I just don't understand. Lucinda, she's like 22, 23 years old. She's very young, and she's fought a lot, but the level of competition, not the best. And this is my problem with Lucinda. I think she's good. I think she's got talent. I think she's got, some power. She's got good grappling, especially when they get in clinch position. She's not a wrestler. She's not shooting single or grabbing singles or shooting doubles. She's never doing that. She's getting takedowns off of clinch positions, where they're kind of battling, and she's tripping you, body lock takedowns right to the ground. But every fight she wins, Dan, she has the clear advantage in two aspects. And this is like, she has the clear grappling advantage, and actually three, strength and speed. Every single fight, go watch her fights. The speed advantage on the feet is eye-popping. Her last fight when she fought, I think it was Caitlin Kovacevic. This Kovacevic was just slow on the feet. Yeah. Like she was so slow, but she just like pressure keeps going forward. And Lucinda I felt like she was always first, or she was countering, and she was just faster. Every single time she was faster. But she is finally fighting someone on the feet she will not be faster than, because Marina Rodriguez, the one thing she got fast hands. And Lucinda is very open with their strikes. She likes to throw wild. She likes to throw kind of loopy. She's open when she kind of throws. She's not throwing like straight down the pipe. And Marina Rodriguez, go watch her strike. It's all straight. She kind of lulls you to sleep with that left that jab. She's not even like really trying to hit you with the jab. It's like lulling you to get the right hand, and it goes straight through, and she's long enough and a little taller than most of her opponents where she connects. If you go watch the Jessica Andrade fight, Andrade won that fight off of just dog and pressure late in rounds, because I'll tell you right now, multiple rounds, Marina Rodriguez won 4 minutes of the round, and then Jessica Andrade won the last minute, but it looked so bad that they gave Andrade the fight in a split decision. Marina Rodriguez should have won that fight. She just lost the last minute of 2 different rounds, and it looked bad enough the judges gave it to her. And obviously, shout out, Jessica won that's fair. She had her running at one point. But my point is, I don't think Lucinda has that type of dog in her. And on top of it, I don't think she's going to be able to eat some of the shots that Jessica Andrade. Marina Rodriguez was chinning Andrade, like literally like to the chin, and she was eating them and moving forward. I don't think that's going to happen here. I wouldn't even be shocked if Lucinda got dropped and Marina Rodriguez late in the fight had a chance to finish her, because even when she's hurt, she can still throw with some power. Even though it doesn't look like it, she still has power. And like I said, it's all straight. And I could see Lucinda getting frustrated and just kind of bulldozing her way forward and getting caught. So I'm on the Rodriguez side. It's a long-winded answer, but I like Rodriguez as a dog. And I don't hate her as a DFS play. I think it primarily stays on the feet. And I think that on the feet, Marina Rodriguez is the better fighter. And I think this line should be closer than what it is. I think it's a little too wide.
Yeah, I mean, this fight opened as a pick'em, and the line has moved heavily towards Lucindo. That's the side that I'm on. We're going to break out the age model for this one. Lucindo is 15 years younger than Marina Rodriguez. And
I knew you were going to bring the age model out. I was waiting for it.
15 years younger. And, in women's MMA, the age gap, what is it? The win-loss when it comes to the age gap is far more pronounced in women's MMA. So you've got that working against Marina Rodriguez. You've also, I just feel, we mentioned Lucindo is actually the youngest woman in the UFC. So every time you see her, she should be getting better and better each time. Whereas Marina Rodriguez is kind of, in the twilight of her career, and she seems to be getting worse and worse. The only fight she's won in the last 2-3 years was when she left Michelle Waterson Gomez in a pile of blood and tears, and that was a massive mismatch right from the get. I just think Lucindo is going to be like, Marina is the more technically sound striker. She, if this plays out all on the feet, then I think favoring Rodriguez is right. But I think Lucindo is just going to be stronger, going to be more physical. And I think if this fight gets to the mat, Rodriguez has pretty subpar takedown defense. Her getup is not good. She can be controlled on the mat. And I think if Lucindo gets her onto the mat and gets on top of her, Rodriguez is in deep shit. Like, she's just going to rain hell down on her. So I've got Lucindo. Women's MMA, as always, like, you're not going to go broke betting dogs in women's MMA. So I'm never going to count out a women's MMA dog, but I'm definitely on the Lucindo side here. I think she beats her up pretty bad.
So you want to break out who Marina Rodriguez's fight? Let's do that. So she's fought Jessica Andrade. She's fought Waterson Gomez, Jan Jarobin, Lemos. These are top-notch girls. Michelle Waterson Gomez, maybe not when she fought her, but like she was. The level of competition between who these girls have fought the last 5 fights is completely different. Go to Lucindo and see who she's fought. Kovalkiewicz, Viana, Walker. She lost to Yegi, who we just saw get chin-checked a few weeks ago as a monster favorite. So that loss doesn't look that good. And I'll tell you right now, that was one of the only times where she didn't have the power advantage, where I don't think she had the speed advantage, and she ended up losing. And this is my point. I just don't think she's going to have those two advantages. So she needs to grapple to win. To your point, I think if Lucindo wins, it's because she grapples and she wins the grappling exchanges, and Marina Rodriguez is getting controlled. But Marina Rodriguez knows that, so she's going to try and do what she always does: stay at kicking range, right? Kicking and punching range, just hit, stick and move, and just keep doing that for 3 rounds. If she does that, I think she wins a decision here, or like I said, could get a late finish. But all right, we're on different sides here. I think that's a good fight, though. I'm going to be on the Rodriguez side more for DFS. Let's go to the main card here, starting off with Wonder Boy Stephen Thompson sitting a plus 180 dog on DraftKings versus one guy that I enjoy watching because I feel like he's fun in the cage, Joaquin Buckley. I've been on this dude like his last 5 fights. He's what I would call an athlete. He's just a straight monster of an athlete. Like, this dude is jacked. He's what Dan was talking about with Alexander Hernandez when you look at him versus Austin Hubbard. Well, Joaquin Buckley is that when you literally put him against anybody. Like, he just looks like He-Man, and everyone else looks like fucking just some normal guy named Joe. Like, that's what he makes everyone pretty much look like when they stand next to each other. But he's a beast, man. He's a beast. He's starting to get like takedowns into his game a little bit. He's got massive power. We know that. He at times he will kind of like you know, play the other guy's game where he'll just sit and strike with you and, you know, not make it a dog. I feel like he's better when he's making it a dog fight, Dan. Like that's when he's at his best, is when he's pushing forward, getting you on the back foot, making it kind of sloppy. I don't feel like he's obviously as technical as Thompson on the feet. So I think if it's a point fight, he's going to lose a point fight. Like that's where Joaquin Buckley, I think, loses, is if it is not a dog fight and it's a point fight. If he makes it a dog fight, if he mixes up with the grappling and the clinch work, maybe throwing a few takedowns just to kind of throw Wonder Boy off a little bit. And I know Wonder Boy has good takedown defense, but like if he just throws him off a little bit, I think he could win this fight. But I think Stephen Thompson is live here to win a decision. Like I'm not so sure Joaquin Buckley technically is good enough if this does stay on the feet. Because if this does stay on the feet and he doesn't land a big shot on Wonder Boy, he's going to be in trouble in some spots. So I don't hate the dog here, taking a shot here on the dog. I don't like going against my boy Buckley. I haven't gone against him in, like I said, any of his like last 5 fights. I've just been riding the Buckley train. You know, the only time he lost was that Chris Curtis fight. So, you know, he got hit. What are you going to do? But outside of that, he's been winning. I think this fight, though, should be a little closer than what it is. Maybe, though, it's Wonder Boy's age. Like, are we breaking out the age model here?
Absolutely. You know, Stephen Thompson, 41 years old. Definitely, you know, very similar to the last fight. You've got 2 fighters who are going in different directions. Stephen Thompson kind of in the twilight of his career. Joaquin Buckley, you know, ever since moving down to welterweight from middleweight, has just been on a tear. Like this new weight class seems to really be working for him. He's looked fantastic. He's been mixing in takedowns much more. And you mentioned Stephen Thompson's takedown defense, while historically very good. And if you just look at the stats, you're like, oh, wow, like, you know, pretty solid takedown defense. You know, starting with the Gilbert Burns fight, you know, and again, like these are all high level grappler wrestlers, but you've got, you know, taken down 3 times by Burns, 7 times by Muhammad, twice by Kevin Holland, which, you know, now I'm starting to get a little worried. Only once by Rakhmonov, but it's because he subbed him early. And, you know, so I'm definitely on the Buckley side. If Stephen Thompson can keep Buckley at range, that's, you know, pretty much his only path, is to keep him at range and have a point fight. But Buckley is going to force the issue. You know, Buckley is aggressive. He is explosive. And he has been mixing in takedowns more and more in his recent fights. Like he took down Fialho twice, Morono twice. No takedowns in the Luque fight, but you know, his last time out against Ruzaboyev, 4 takedowns. So if Buckley follows that game plan, I think, you know, him coming into his prime, Thompson kind of on the decline, his takedown defense kind of starting to become a little more shaky. I think Buckley is just going to be too physical for him to be able to try to keep it at range. And, you know,
that's his path.
DFS wise, Thompson, you know, we hate that point fighting style. Like it's not something I ever want to get too heavily invested in like a DFS portfolio. So I'm going to be really light on Thompson. He's projecting to be 17%. I probably come in under that. If it burns me, it burns me, you know, like stupid shit happens all the time. But I feel much more comfortable like taking that, you know, risk as little of a risk as I think it is.
I agree, and I agree with Linnell here. If there's no knockout, this fight is not going to score well. I agree 100%. I don't think it scores well if there's no like finish by Buckley. I think Buckley needs to.
Unless Buckley comes out with, you know, a wrestling grappling heavy approach, which has been, you know, Thompson's Achilles heel as of late, which, you know, not the most likely. It's not the most likely. It could happen.
I just like. I think he's very confident person, Joaquin Buckley. Yes. And I think like he's very confident in his power. And I think he knows that like if he can pressure Stephen Thompson and get close enough to him to where he can, you know, get a few shots off and get his chin, he can drop them and put them out. So that's the thing with like guys like Joaquin Buckley is I think they rely too much on just their athleticism, their God-given like power and strength and stuff. And I get it with him because, you know, he is like kind of one of one in a way. Like just look at him.
Yeah.
But it can hurt you if you don't get that big shot and you do let Stephen Thompson just stay at range.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'm with you. If he comes in with the wrestling game plan, he could get him out of there with ground strikes, like literally ground and pound. So
yeah. I'm also hoping for a Buckley win because I want to see who he calls out. Will he call out McGregor again? I think he should.
If he beats Wonder Boy, he should call out someone good. Please don't call out McGregor though. That dude. Do you think he fights again?
Fuck no.
Yeah, I don't either.
Not.
He's done. I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Let's keep it moving here. Next fight on the card, we got Caitlin Vieira versus Kayla Harrison, one of the biggest dogs on the entire. I think the biggest dog on the entire card here. Minus 1,100 for Kayla Harrison. Dan, do you see anything where, I mean, Caitlin Vieira, she's a good fighter. She's not a slouch. She's a very good fighter. Do you see her being able to give Kayla Harrison some problems?
Caitlin Vieira, I mean, you know, obviously, like we talked about earlier, like Harrison's whole game is predicated on, you know, taking you down, grappling the shit out of you, you know, ground and pounding you on the mat. Vieira's got, you know, elite takedown defense for the division. She's got 92% takedown defense, which is fantastic. You know, the problem is I just think Harrison is going to be, you know, she hasn't fought anyone like Kayla Harrison. In Kayla Harrison, you've got someone who, you know, has fought, I believe she's fought as high up as I might be getting this wrong, like lightweight, you know, she's fought at much heavier weight classes. And when you look at her, she is like jacked and ripped to shit. She's fucking huge. Like when she first came to the UFC, people were like, how is she going to get down to 135 and not die? Here's the thing. Kayla Harrison already is like a millionaire fighter from her time in the PFL. So she's got the money. She's a two-time Olympian. She's got the money. She's got the team behind her to really make sure everything with her weight cut goes exactly perfectly. Like she has resources that most fighters in the UFC do not have. So, you know, when you have somebody with her strength and size and physicality that can cut like that, that is a massive advantage. And I just don't see how Vieira is able to deal with that, is really what it comes down to.
Yeah. You know, and the fact that it's a 3-round fight and not a 5-round, like 3-round fight, Kayla Harris is just going to go right in for it. I don't think, you know, I think in a 5-round fight, like I've seen Kayla Harris in a 5-round fight kind of slow down, get a little more sloppy in the later rounds and lose a decision because of that kind of in the later rounds. But she's just so strong. Like I want to find a path where Caitlin Vieira, like maybe Vieira can catch Kayla Harris because she will at times get sloppy when she goes to take people down and she'll give up. I've seen her give up her back, you know, or give up a position, end up on her back at times, end up in a submission attempt and stuff like that. But she always like still like finds her way back on top. That's the thing with Kayla Harris. She's just so strong. She's just so good that she'll end up even when she's tired, she'll end up finding her way back into advantageous positions. So in a 3-round fight, I just don't see her losing this fight here. You know, I think to beat her, you got to have a mix of like really good striking. On top of that, though, you got to have like stick grappling or takedown defense, you know, to where you can threaten submissions from anywhere when she goes to take you down, to almost to get back to your feet, Dan. Like not even to try and sub her, more to like use the submission to get back to your feet. Because she's just so good when she gets in those positions, you know, and she's shooting too. She's not like someone who just, I know everyone sees her judo and stuff like that, but she'll shoot too. She's not just a one-trick pony. She's got the trips. So she's like all around. It's not like some of the girls we talk about who have really good grappling, but no wrestling, or wrestling, but no like she's got the mix, you know, so that's what makes her so dangerous, and she's strong on top of it. So yeah, we're going Kayla Harris. I see it, or Harrison. I see it the way you do. So not much else to talk about. We already talked about it from a DFS side. I'm going to be Harrison over PEREIRA if I had to choose. I know Dan is too, so we don't have to talk about that. Malcolm, I wanted to just bring that up. He said, need not forget Stephen Thompson had a broken foot his last fight, and I would assume lingering since the round 1 of the Holland fight. So yeah, there could be some lingering stuff too. So
yeah, I mean, I actually injured my foot a couple months ago. I like stepped down into my yard weird, and it fucking swelled up so badly that I thought I had broken it. I went to go get an X-ray. They said it's not broken, but it's months later, and my foot still fucking hurts, dude. Like, like foot injuries are no joke. Like those shits do not heal in a timely manner. So if his foot was injured then, it's probably not 100% now.
Especially if you don't give it time to like fully heal properly, which
yeah, I mean, I certainly don't have the training regimen that I assume Wonder Boy has. So like, you know,
yeah.
I sit on my ass a lot of the time and my foot still fucking hurts. So
those guys, at a certain point though, they just can't feel anything. They don't feel shit when they get in there. Like they just like, they'll just keep, they'll break their bones, and they'll still keep somehow keep throwing fucking punches or
tough
kicks or something
man.
like that. Yeah, they're my buddy. One of my best friends is a 4th degree black belt in Taekwondo, and his foot is just like numb. So like he all the time. So like when he like throws a kick, like he can't feel shit. Like I was just like, you're a psychopath. But you know, those guys are mainly psychopaths. So what are you gonna do? All right, let's go. We've got 4 more fights to go on this main card here. Next fight, Roman Dolidze versus Kevin Holland. This line, I think, is tightening too a little bit. Dolidze, a dog here, sitting at plus 124 on DraftKings. Kevin Holland, the favorite, at minus 148. Dan, who do you like here? Kevin Holland, the favorite, or are you on Dolidze?
Man, I've got Dolidze by decision, but I don't feel great about it. I really don't have a super strong take on this fight, to be perfectly honest with you. Kevin Holland's just a weird guy, man. Like he's pretty hard to trust. He acts like a bit of a knucklehead in the ring. I think Dolidze probably poses some problems for him, specifically in the grappling department. Like Holland has shown to be, you know, not the best on the mat. He can be controlled. I'm not super interested in this fight just in general. Like these inside the distance numbers are pretty bad. I think they're both going to come in there. I mean, especially on the Holland side, I think he needs to respect Dolidze's power, but you know, Dolidze's volume is just not there. Yeah, I don't have a strong lean on this fight. It looks like it's going to be catching quite a bit of ownership, and I assume that's mostly due to price. Dolidze at 30% seems like really high to me. Yeah. How do you feel about this fight?
So first, this fight's at middleweight, right? Correct?
I believe so. Yeah. These are both guys who have, it is at middleweight. These are both guys who have like jumped around in weight classes too. It's a weird fight, man. I had a hard time analyzing this one, to be perfectly honest.
Kevin Holland's jumped around, and I like in some of his fights, I've seen him get like, you know, taken down, controlled a little bit when fighting like bigger, like more stronger guys. And I think I leaned Dolidze too, just for the simple, I think he's going to have the strength advantage. I think he's going to have the advantage in those like clinch positions, and in the, like, I think he's just going to be stronger than him. And I think you could see him, you know, realize it and be like, oh, I can take this guy down. Like now he's got to be careful because Kevin Holland's obviously, you know, he's tricky, you know, he's got some stuff off his back and everything, but Dolidze is very skilled on the ground too. So, you know, I think I slightly lean him as the dog. I'm a huge Kevin Holland fan though, so I hate picking against Kevin Holland, but I think I am going to go against him here. I just don't love this spot for him. And I do think this fight is a decision fight. I think both these fighters are pretty good. I think Dolidze probably scores like around the the Anthony Smith number, maybe a little bit more, between like 75 and 85 fantasy points here. He's 7,900 though. So I'm going to be heavier on Roman Dolidze in fantasy, and I'm probably going to end up betting him. Not my strongest conviction, but I am going to bet him just because I do feel like he's going to have the strength advantage there, and he's going to win. He's going to be able to, I think he's going to be able to take Holland down. Honestly, I think he's going to be stronger. He's going to be able to get him to the ground. So, yeah, that's my take. We're both on the Dolidze side, not strong conviction, but Dan, are you going to be over on this fight for DFS or under?
No. I honestly, I mean, I haven't gotten a chance to build yet. But this fight seems overowned to me. I don't love it at all. Maybe I have to dig in a little deeper, but my initial read on this is I kind of want to come in under. We'll see if, price will allow that, because sometimes, guys just kind of like fit where they fit. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really looking to take a major stand either way. This is just a fight. It's a weird fight, man. I think the only thing that I'm sure of is that it's going to be fucking weird.
Yeah, I agree. I think in the end it's not going to be as fun of a fight, but we'll see at the end of the day. Shout out to Garrett. He's at work right now, but he gets out at 4:30. Can be able to watch that card. Yeah, 6:30 start time. So
the Phillies should be up by
awesome.
a few runs by then. So
yeah, Dan will be pumped. His Phillies team will be up, so you're good to go. Benair is here. He just wanted to let us know. So thank God. Now we can finish, obviously, because Benair is here, so we can get through the rest of this card here, Dan. Jose Aldo, Mario Batista, next fight on the card here. Batista, a -135 favorite on DraftKings Sportsbook. Jose Aldo, +114 dog. I'm on the Aldo side. I think Mario Batista is a really skilled fighter. I think that he is a tough fight for a lot of people. I just think Jose Aldo is just a little bit more of a step up for him, and is going to pose a lot of problems for Mario Batista. I think Batista is going to come in, and I told you this before, he's going to try and drown him with pressure. He's going to try and shoot. He almost pulled like what Merab did in a way to Jose Aldo, where he's not getting takedowns, but it's just the constant pressure and in your face and shooting and just forcing you to stuff. And like, I don't think that's going to work though, because I don't think he is at that Merab level. Like, I think, he has the tools maybe one day to be that type of pressure. But I just don't think he has that level that Merab has with the wrestling and stuff and the nonstop. So I'm going with Jose Aldo. This dude's hands are fast as shit. He's got great takedown defense. I think on the feet, it's Jose Aldo. I think this plays out on the feet. And we saw what happened last time with Jonathan Martinez. People were on the Martinez side, and Jose Aldo showed that he's just better. Like, he's just better than he's making. I told Dan this. Jonathan Martinez at one point in that fight, he grabbed the single leg. And right then and there, I said, he's fucked. Like, he's fucked. Like, he made Jonathan Martinez, and he was deep in the single leg. And I still remember DC laughing, like, he's not getting this takedown. But, like, I knew it right then and there. I said, like, this dude's got no shot when he's shooting on Jose Aldo. Now, Mario Batista's a little different story. Like, I don't think that if he shoots, I think that's going to be his game plan, honestly. But I just don't think it's going to work. So give me the better guy in the stand-up, better takedown defense. I'm on the dog here. I'm going to ride with my boy Jose Aldo for a second time, +114 right now, and I think that tightens even more, Dan. I think it's close to I think we get it close to a pick 'em by the fight time.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I just refresh. Jose Aldo is now +111 on Bet Online. The number has been steadily moving towards him, and all the points that you made. Let's go back to like the resume. Like, Batista has been on a nice run, right? But let's look at some of these names. We've got Brian Kelleher, Benito Lopez, Guido Canetti, Damon Blackshear, who's okay. Ricky Simone, who has seemingly fallen off of a cliff, is like a shadow of his former self. These are Mario Batista's wins. Jose Aldo, on the other hand, we've got Marlon Vera, Pedro Munoz, Rob Font. He loses to Merab, but he holds him to 0 for 16 on takedowns, and we're back at elevation again. But that was also in Salt Lake City. It's like, I don't know why you're putting Jose Aldo at this stage of his career at elevation. But anyway, and then he goes out there and kind of like dog walks Martinez. Like that fight was not super competitive. So
it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's Aldo here. I like Batista a lot, but this is a huge step up in competition. Like we're talking, Jose Aldo, one of the greatest fighters of all time. Batista has not been fighting that level, and I think Aldo is going to give him a lot of problems. On the DFS side, I really don't love this fight because Aldo is extremely, he doesn't throw a ton of volume, and he's extremely sound defensively. So he's a bit of a neutralizer in that way. He's going to win minutes and probably win the fight. But, I think his last time out against Martinez, he scored somewhere in the 70s. That is most likely not going to cut it on this slate. 7,700. It's cheap, but it's not that cheap. So don't love this fight for DFS because I think Aldo wins.
This card, Dan, I could see like the guys in the 90s scoring good, but just like the dogs don't get like the 7K guys maybe don't get us there, and they end up like not on the winner for some reason because like it's some weird mid-range build like that. That wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, this is definitely a card that's devoid of a lot of it's devoid of potent finishers, like we said before. Yeah. So it's a weird one. It makes for a lot of interesting builds. It makes a lot of things. It opens up a lot. It makes a lot of things possible.
All right, let's keep it moving. D'Lo said no subs for Doldiz since 2017. Scare y'all off of him? No, because I think he wins by decision. I don't think he subs Kevin Holland. Even though I think he gets him the ground, I don't think he subs Kevin Holland. I think it's a decision fight. So nope, doesn't scare me off of him. Yeah, so let's go to the 5-round fights here. Starting off, Raquel Pennington sitting a -170 favorite on DraftKings Sportsbook versus Juliana Pena, a +142 dog here. Dan, I think you said earlier in the video that you were on Pena, so tell us why you like the dog here.
Yeah, I just think she's more dangerous. I'm going to invoke the oh no, I'm not going to invoke the age model at the same age. Yeah, I mean, really what it comes down to for me, I was on Pennington originally, but the thing with Pennington is she's solid everywhere, but not exceptional anywhere. And, the line has moved pretty heavily towards Pena even since yesterday. So, when I can't think of when I don't feel strongly about one side or the other and I see movement like that, I'm going to go with the market because more often than not, the market is, a lot of times the market knows better than you. You can watch all the tape, you can break down, you can do all the analysis you want, but a move like this is like pretty hard to ignore. So, also just in general, when it comes to fighting, like I'm mostly going to always lean towards the person who's more likely to finish the fight. And I think in that instance, this is Pena. Like she's much more dangerous than Rocky. Like Rocky does not have, she doesn't have fight ending power. And I think Pena is much more dangerous. Pena by decision.
Tony Ford said he simmed the fight and it equals Pena by decision. So there you go. There's the sim winner right there. Anything else here, Dan, before
No, it doesn't go much deeper than that. I just think,
So I'm assuming you like her for DFS at 7,800?
I do, yeah. I mean, a 5-round fight that is projected. I mean, the over-under on this is 4.5. You give me probably 5 rounds of what should end up being like pretty grappling heavy. And again, women's MMA, like the more strikes are counted as significant. And Rocky's style, like last time out, she scored 145. And we talk about this all the time. It's like people who force wrestling and grappling exchanges. That is fantasy gold on DraftKings, especially. So I'm on the Pena side, but I will be heavy on both sides of this fight. I actually like this 5-round fight. Well, I like this 5-round fight probably more than the main event. And that's mostly because I am skeptical that Pereira can pay off his tag. This fight is much more reasonably priced. They're, 8,400 and 7,800 respectively.
This is what Pereira fights are usually lined at, like the 8,400, 7,800. This is what they usually are at. So, yeah, I kind of agree with you. I'm on the other side, though. So, first of all, like the Pena fight, like this girl is 12-5. She beat a 40-year-old McMahon. Nunez, she was getting her ass beat the first time, then finds a sub, like after getting her ass beat for the first like 5 or 6 minutes, whatever it was. Nunez the second time whooped her ass. I just don't believe in it. Like, I just don't believe. I think Pennington is just better. I think she's better. I think she beat Bueno Silva, who I think Bueno Silva is more dangerous than Juliana Pena. And I can be totally wrong, but people got to remember Bueno Silva was a favorite against Pennington. Mm-hmm. Bueno Silva is dangerous. I think she's more dangerous than Pena. I don't know what it is, but people love Pena, whatever. I think Pennington's just going to.
I was under the impression people really don't like Pena.
I feel like people do like Pena more than Pennington.
Interesting.
Like,
I was under the impression people. All I hear about Pena is people think she's fucking annoying because she yaps so much.
I don't care that she's annoying. I don't care that she yaps. I get why fighters yap. Fighters are trying to like sell their fight. Yeah. So like good fighter, even if they suck at shit talking, they're gonna try and like yap and talk shit. Like that's. Even if you suck, you should try and do that because you should be trying to sell your fight. The worst the fighters that suck are the ones that just sit there mute. Like those are the fighters that actually, yeah. So some people like think it's annoying, but I don't care about that. I don't know. I think Pennington's just better. I think Pennington's gonna jab her face off in the clinch positions. Pennington's strong in those positions. I feel like she's the better fighter. Maybe she's not the more dangerous fighter, and I get what you're saying there, maybe. But I think Pennington's going to win. 5-round fight. She just beat Bueno Silva, who I see as more dangerous than Juliana Pena. I get it. She got lucky and beat Amanda Nunez once. She got killed by Nunez. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm going with who I see as the better fighter, and that is Pennington. I think Pennington wins a 5-round decision here and makes it look good. So, yeah, 8,400 on DraftKings. I'm going to be all over Pennington, and I'm going to bet her too. So, yeah, that is that. I hate Pena, but don't mind looking at her. There you go, Joe Ruff. There you go. Yeah. You find positives. See, that's what you got to do. You just find positives in that. All right, last fight on the card, the main event. Alex Pereira, a minus 455 favorite over on DraftKings Sportsbook versus Khalil Rountree Jr. plus 350 dog over under sitting. Overs minus 125 on DraftKings. That's 1.5. Unders minus 105. So, this fight, I could see it going over 1.5 rounds, 100%. I don't hate that as a bet either, Dan, because I think both guys are going to feel each other out a little bit. And like you said, Pereira is more like he's going to jump on things when he sees openings, but like he's going to wait for his moments. And sometimes those moments will come later in the fight. Now, just recently, we've seen them come a little bit earlier in fights, but I will say that the Yuri fight, I knew that was going to happen. I literally said it. Because Yuri can't help himself. He doesn't check leg kicks, and he just keeps trying to move forward, and you just can't walk through Alex Pereira. I'm sorry, you can't do that. So I knew that Yuri would get fucked up early. And then I talked about the Jamal Hill fight. I feel like that fight would have went longer, but that happened, and Pereira caught him. I could be totally wrong there. And then he goes into a war with, not a war, but a back and forth fight with Jan Blachowicz. I thought it was very close. It was a very, very close decision in my opinion. He wins that fight, but it went 3 rounds, and I could see this fight going, 3 rounds here, Dan. I could see this fight going to the 3rd round. And the over-under is only 1.5. So of a 5-round fight, like, I don't know. The more I look at it, the more I'm like, I like the over in this. Over 1.5. It looks pretty good to me. The other thing I saw, Alex Bejeda by submission, it was 16-1 yesterday on DraftKings. It's been bet down to plus 1,000 on DraftKings Sportsbook. I don't know if it's moved anywhere else, like big, but over on DraftKings, I looked at it at 16-1. I didn't fire it yesterday, and now I see it at plus 1,000. So I feel like that's one of the more popular spots here on this long shots is Alex Bejeda by submission. But what do you think on this fight and that submission prop? Do you think it's still juicy at 1,000?
Yeah, that submission prop. I mean, if you can get it at 1,000, it's gone down to plus 700 on Bet Online, and like I use Bet Online for my numbers just because they tend to have the sharper lines. So if you can get plus 1,000, I like that quite a bit. I think out of the two, it's interesting. I think out of the two, Pereira and Roundtree, if anybody is going to like shoot a takedown or try to grapple, it's going to be Pereira, which, is not typically his style, but, he's been training with Glover Teixeira for long enough where, they've been training these things. It should be improving just about every time, even though he is, 37 actually isn't that old for like a light heavyweight, bordering. He'll probably move up to heavyweight at some time. So he's relatively young for the weight class.
He's been sparring with Sean Strickland too.
Yeah.
Which I honestly, like, is there a better sparring partner? Like Sean Strickland's probably a really good sparring because literally
he fights.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's like maybe one of the best sparring fighters there is. Like just overall. So that's what I'm saying. Like Alex Bejeda, like that's probably your best sparring partner you could find.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm picking Pereira to win. However, I think the bet here is Roundtree by knockout. I've got, plus 475. I think that's far too wide. If Roundtree wins, it's going to be by knockout. And,
it's plus Pereira, 500 on DraftKings, by the way.
Yeah. Pereira is an elite striker, kickboxer. We know this. He's got insane power, but, he can be hurt. He can be caught, he can be hurt, and he can be put out. And it isn't the most likely thing to happen, but at plus 475 or plus 500, whatever number you get, like I like taking a shot on that. So, the last time I picked against Pereira in the last Yuri fight, I don't think a result or a wrong pick has ever made me feel fucking worse in my life because Pereira's my guy. I've been on the Pereira train like the whole time he's been in the UFC, and I jumped off there, and that's left me a little shell shocked. But I don't think you can bet him at this number, man. This line seems wide.
I think the thing with Pereira too, and this was one of the reasons why a lot of people were picking Yuri. Like even though there were a lot of people that liked Yuri in that fight, and I think what was throwing them off was like the Adesanya fight, where Adesanya was literally okay. He could have been playing, drawing him in, but like when you watch Pereira, like if he's getting close to you, Dan, he thinks you're pretty much done. You know what I mean? Like he's got you at that point. And he was shelled up, and then all of a sudden he just like comes out of the shell with this just massive shot and just puts Bejeda out. But
yeah,
I like that was just I feel like it was just so fluky. It did happen though, so everyone's like, look, he can. Yeah, of course he can be caught if you catch anyone like in the right spot at the right time with enough power. And these guys are big, right? Like Khalil Roundtree is a big dude. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he's got power. If he chins him, he could put him out. Like that's not impossible. But I think people saw that and they're like, look, he can be got. And it was like, that was a little fluky. That's all I'm going to say. Like that was just a little fluky. He thought he had Adesanya. Now, maybe more people should do that. Maybe more people should, act like they're hurt or whatever, kind of shell up and then try and catch him again. But I don't know. I think that happened once, Dan, and I just don't think, I think he's going to be smart enough to not let it happen again here. And you got to respect what he's doing too. I mean, all these fights he's taken in the last like last 2 years. I mean, this dude is super active. He wants to fight as much as possible. This dude's a badass. Like, I can't go against him. Like, I refuse to.
I love it as a fan, but also, that much activity is mildly concerning. I mean, he's been ending his fights very quickly.
You know what he's doing though. He's trying to get them all out now. Yeah. He's trying to get the bag. He's trying to get them all out now. He wants to go out on top, but he wants to do it in like a time period because he knows like his window isn't that big. He's not super young, right, Dan? He's got a lot of mileage, whether it be UFC or kickboxing. He's got a lot of fights under his belt. So I think he knows his window isn't big, and he's trying to capitalize, like you said, with the bag. He's trying to capitalize on that bag before he gets out. So he's putting in the work. But all right, you think a fun bet is Roundtree by KO? I think a fun bet is the PEREIRA submission. If you can still get it at those 10-1 odds or higher, I like that. If it drops any lower than that, I probably wouldn't do it. But if you can still get it at 10-1 or higher, I think it's not a bad shot. I'm still kicking myself. I didn't bet it yesterday when it was 16-1. But yeah, that's the whole card, Dan. Before we get out of here, let's give a favorite bet here. I got to redeem myself for my shitty Matt Frivola bet that sucked. You know what was worse? You know what was worse too?
Fucking sick, dude. That knee, holy shit! I called that too.
Yeah, you did. You know what was worse about it too? Was I was at a wedding. My wife's my wife's room. It was her. She roomed with like three other girls, and it was the last one that's got married. You know what I mean? There was all of them have gotten married to that like point besides one. And so it was like the last roommate that got married. So we had to go. And I was like, this sucks. But the worst part is there was no cell reception. Like where we were, it was like in the sticks. It was in it was really nice. It was in someone's like yard. It was like super nice, but there was just no like cell reception where we were at all. So like I couldn't get like any updates on the fights. So I'm sure chat was like going nuts and stuff like that. I couldn't see shit at all. And then like when I got out of that, later on in the night, I like looked and I was like, wow, what the fuck? Like this sucks. He got absolutely destroyed.
I don't think very highly of Matt Frivola, but Ziem looked the best I've ever seen him. He looked fucking great, man. And that knee is just, I mean, I've seen it said, and I agree. Like, if it weren't for Holloway's knockout on Gaethje at 300, I think that would be a strong contender for knockout of the year. Just a fucking vicious knee. Like, I believe it broke Frivola's ocular bone. Like, it was just, and he was.
I think it would broke most people's fucking bones where he hit him. So
he needed to be helped. That he couldn't even walk out of the cage under his own power. Just man, just fucking violence. It was beautiful. Beautiful.
That's the one thing about Frivola, though. You're going to get violence. Like, that's just like, even if he's getting whooped, like, you're going to get the violence. So, do you like a particular, for the PEREIRA sub, I think it's long enough where, like, you don't have to just pick around. I personally think this goes beyond a round and a half. So, I don't know, like, certain sites you can get, like, rounds 2, 3, and 4 at a certain number, and maybe it's a little higher. I think I think he finishes it in round 3, to be honest. I think this fight ends in round 3. So that's going to be my guess, but I don't have like a confident, and I probably won't bet round 3 submission. I'll probably just bet it straight. But yeah, if you're looking for the big odds, I'm assuming round 3, you're going to get what, plus 2,500, Dan? What's a round 3 sub for PEREIRA?
A round 3 sub?
Oh my God, no, 6-1. Holy crap! I'm sorry, 60. It's not 6-1, 6,000. I was looking at it. I was like, what am I saying? 6-1. Yeah, 60-1 is plus 6,000. I was sitting there. I was like, 6-1. That's bullshit. And then I looked. I did the thing that Tony always makes fun of me for when I just like look real quick and see like one thing, and then I'm like, that's stupid, and I don't read the whole fucking number or the quote. But yeah, that's fun. I don't know. If you want to bet that and you got the balls, go for it. That's
You know,
that's a fun one.
now that we've talked through the card, I did come into this, you know, saying I don't love Pereira as a play. I'm not sure if he makes value, but now that we've talked through it, you know, the amount of live dogs that we have, the lack of fights that actually have, you know, really good inside the distance numbers. He does have the best inside the distance number on the whole card. And the top end is like, you know, the opportunity cost here isn't especially high. Like the top end doesn't really blow you away. So Pereira, you know, he might not need the hospital 130 to be optimal. He might find the
Might
optimal.
not.
He might
He
find
might
the
just be.
optimal with like a 110. So I like him
Maybe
quite a
not.
bit more now that we've talked it through. And on the flip side, Roundtree 20%. Like, you know me, I'm gonna like full shove these 5-round fights. I'm happy to get over 20% on Roundtree because I think, you know, I do think this line is wide, and I especially think the knockout number is, you know, pretty big, like bigger than it should be.
Yep. Yeah, even just from when we started talking about these fights, some of these lines are starting to tighten. Like just from
Yeah.
just looking, it's very interesting. So keep an eye on the lines too. Like as we get closer to 6:30, because some of these dogs are going to start to close to flip to favorites. Some of them. So
Yeah,
even the you know, the Pennington lines come down just a little bit on DraftKings. You know, and
definitely.
keep an eye on that stuff.
Yeah,
You know, but all right, Dan, you want to give a favorite bet overall before we get
Jose
out of here?
Aldo money line.
That's a great bet. You didn't. I would have gave that one if you didn't, but I'll give a different one just because I don't want to give the same one as you. I'll go Marina Rodriguez money line plus 150. We'll take another dog here. But yeah, great card. Can't wait for it, guys. RPS 15 is the promo code, 15% off your first monthly or weekly payment. Get over for the MMA, the bets, college football, NFL, you name it, we got it. Wood Show tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern time. Me, Big T, and Wiley for NFL. Good luck to everyone in their MMA contests. For Dan and myself, JSU, hopefully we see you in the RPS Discord streets. Until then, right here. Peace.